What is a lineup? A lineup is all the people who's in charge. That's just what it is. It's all the people who's in charge of making sure everything is running smooth. It's the structure. It's a structure? Yes. Could we please pull up Government Exhibit 901, which is in the evidence? Do you recognize that, Mr. Morton? Yes, ma'am. What is? It's a graph showing the structure of a lineup. Do you see where it has higher status and lower status at the bottom? Yes, ma'am. Is that accurate? Yes. What does that indicate? That indicates from the 1 to the 5. So, 1 being the lowest, 5 being right under the low, and then the high and GF. Okay, we can take that down. Mr. Morton, during the time that you were a member, did the people who held leadership positions in the gang change? Yes. How were ranks and positions decided in the Bloodhound Brims? From show or from Lah? If guys were doing what they were supposed to do, they'd get moved up. If they don't, they get kicked out. What do you mean doing what they're supposed to do? As far as like making a name for themselves or going to see people or, being on time for the meetings, powwows, sending money in for the kitty. Okay, I want to take those one by one. What do you mean making a name for yourself? Being out there, whether you're selling drugs, making money, or, robbing people or on Rikers Island, turning up on Rikers or up north, cutting people. The more people hear your name, the more likelihood it is that you're going to go up in status. I heard you say going to see people. What are you talking about? Going to see people on Rikers or upstate jail. That was important within the Bloodhound Brims to visit people in jail. Yes. And I heard you say kitty. What's that? That's the money. So anytime you have a powwow, you're supposed to bring, $20, $30. You hand that in, and with the money, it goes to getting scalpels or going to somebody's lawyer or, sending people on visits or just making sure people in jail have a couple of dollars on their commissary. When you said that you handed in at a powwow, who do you hand it to? It would go from me to show, or it would go right to show. Okay, what kinds of things could make someone get demoted in leadership in the Bloodhound Brims? Not coming to powwows, not handling your business, backbiting, talking about people, breaking one of the rules. Breaking one of the rules will get you demoted definitely. How were the Bloodhound Brims rules communicated to the other members of the gang? They would get, when you turn Bloodhound Brim, you got a booklet with all the rules in it, history, and everything like that. What were some of the rules that you remember? No backbiting, no snitching, take care of your brothers and sisters. Those are the ones I remember right now. What does backbiting mean? Talking behind people, talking behind people's back. Why was that an important rule? Because they didn't want it to look like, starting stuff up, starting with people, starting situations is called, And I heard you say no snitching. What does that mean? No cooperating with the government. Why was that a rule? It's the number one rule. It's the number one rule? Yeah. Why was that important? Because they didn't want a situation to come about where somebody would be cooperating against the organization. What were some of the consequences for breaking those rules? You can get put on the wall. You could get kicked out the gang. What does it mean to get put on the wall? That means like having a lot of people trying to get you or shoot you, things of that nature. Any way that somebody can violate you. If you put on the wall, any way that another gang member could violate you, they're supposed to violate you. Were there other consequences, Mr. Morton? Yeah, you could get killed. You could get shot. You might have to pay a fine. You might have to pay a fine? Mm-hmm. Who would determine what the consequences were? Me, Sho, Lah, the Low? The leaders? Yes. You testified before the Bloodhound Brims was a set or a hood under the banner of NYBBA. Does NYBBA have a leadership structure as well? Yes, it does. Who's in charge of NYBBA? At the time that I was there, it was Lacey, Peewee. Lacey and Peewee? Yeah. And I heard you mention a committee. What is the NYBBA committee? That's all the GFs from the hoods, from the 9 hoods. How did the top leadership of the NYBBA change, if at all? Objection. Grounds. No foundation. Sustained. Did it change when you were a member, Mr. Morton? Objection. No, there is no foundation. It is not clear how he knows those things. Mr. Morton, during the time that you were a member of the Bloodhound Brims, how did you become familiar with the NYBBA? Excuse me? How did you become familiar with the NYBBA? From when I first turned Brim. I had gotten a packet from when I first turned Brim. When I first turned Blood, I got all the rules and the history of the NYBBA. What kinds of information was on that history? Objection! Overruled. Again, it's like when it started. Who was in charge? All the non-Brim rules. All the do's and don'ts of the gang. Okay, if there were to be a change in leadership. Objection! Objection. Leading. Speculative. Well, can I hear the question first? Please say the question. If there were to be a change in leadership of the NYBBA, how, if at all, would that be communicated? Objection. Sustained. Did you have conversations with other members of the Bloodhound Brims about NYBBA? Yes. Did you have conversations with Lah Brim about Peewee and Lacey? Yes. Did you have conversations with Showtime about Peewee and Lacey? Yes. What did Lah Brim and Showtime tell you about Peewee and Lacey? Objection. Objection. Grounds? Lack of foundation. Overruled. That they were trying to park Bloodhound Brims and Mac Balla Brim. What does that mean? Park the Mac Balla and Bloodhound Brim. They're trying to move them two hoods out of the NYBBA. Who was trying to do that? Peewee. Okay, what happened when Peewee tried to park the whips? It didn't work. He ended up getting cut. How did Peewee end up getting cut? Show, La, and I believe Lo. They all pushed a button on Peewee. Who is Lo? He is the GF, Mac Balla Brim. What does it mean to push the button? To have other gang members violate somebody. And what happened after they pushed a button on Peewee? He ended up getting cut. And after Peewee got cut, what was his status in the gang? He wasn't, objection, in the gang. Overruled. He wasn't in it no more. You testified already that one of Showtime's responsibilities as the GF was to make sure that the members were good. Yes. What does that mean? So, wanted to keep getting more and more numbers. Numbers of what? Of making people coming into the hood.